Ever stared at your investment portfolio and thought, this is great, but what if I wanted to move it? You know, like packing up your entire digital financial world and relocating to a new platform? It's a daunting thought, right? Especially when you start wondering about the fine print. Specifically, the dreaded transfer fees. Today, we're diving deep into that very question, focusing on one of the most popular micro-investing platforms out there, Acorns. How much does Acorns really charge to transfer accounts? Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's take a quick step back. Why would you even want to transfer your Acorns account? Maybe you've outgrown the platform. Perhaps your investment goals have shifted, and you need a more robust brokerage. Or maybe you've simply found a competitor offering a better deal or features that align more closely with your needs. Whatever the reason, the ability to transfer your investment is crucial. It's your money, and you should have the freedom to move it as you see fit. But here's the catch: financial institutions aren't always known for making things simple. They often have complex fee structures, and transfer policies can be buried in layers of legalese. So, let's cut through the noise and get straight to the point. The short answer, and this might surprise you, is that Acorns does not charge a direct fee to transfer out your entire account. That's right, there are no explicit transfer out fees. This is generally good news. However, and this is a crucial however, there are some important caveats and indirect costs to consider. It's not as simple as flipping a switch and watching your assets magically teleport to another brokerage. Firstly, let's talk about the type of transfer you're making. Are you performing an ACAT, automated customer account transfer, or a manual liquidation and transfer? A CAT is the industry standard for transferring securities between brokerages, allowing you to move your assets in kind without selling them. This is generally the preferred method, as it avoids potential tax implications from selling investments. Acorns, however, operates primarily with fractional shares in ETFs, exchange-traded funds. This is where the potential complications arise. Not all brokerages can handle fractional shares. If your new brokerage doesn't support fractional shares, you'll likely have to liquidate your Acorns holdings. This means selling all your ETFs and transferring the cash. Why does this matter? Well, liquidating your investments triggers a taxable event. If you've held those investments for less than a year, you'll be subject to short-term capital gains taxes, which are taxed at your ordinary income tax rate. If you've held them for longer than a year, you'll face long-term capital gains taxes, which are generally lower. However, any gains are still taxable. This is the indirect cost of transferring your account. It's not a transfer fee, but a potential tax liability. Let's illustrate this with a simple example. Imagine you have $10,000 invested in Acorns, and $2,000 of that is profit. If you liquidate everything and transfer the cash, you'll be taxed on that $2,000 gain. The exact tax amount will depend on your income bracket and how long you held the investments. Another point to consider is the potential market impact. When you sell your investments, you're subject to market fluctuations. If the market dips between the time you sell and the time you reinvest in your new brokerage, you could potentially lose out on gains. Conversely, if the market rises, you could potentially gain more. However, this aspect is a risk inherent to any investment activity, not specifically to Acorns transfers. Furthermore, it's important to understand the timing of the transfer. An ACAT transfer can typically take anywhere from a few days to a couple of weeks to complete. During this time, your assets are in limbo, and you can't trade them. This blackout period can be frustrating, especially if you're trying to capitalize on market opportunities. Acorns also has specific requirements for initiating a transfer. You'll need to have an account open and active at the receiving brokerage. You'll generally initiate the transfer from the receiving brokerage, not from Acorns. Acorns will then receive the transfer request and process it. Now, let's address some common misconceptions. Some people believe that closing your Acorns account will automatically trigger a transfer. This isn't the case. Closing your account simply liquidates your holdings and sends you a check, or deposits the funds into your linked bank account. This is not an ACAT transfer. Another misconception is that you can partially transfer your Acorns account. Acorns generally only supports full account transfers. You can't cherry-pick specific investments to move. So, to summarize, no direct transfer fees. Acorns doesn't charge a fee to transfer your account. Potential tax implications. Liquidating your holdings can trigger capital gains taxes. Market impact. The timing of the liquidation and reinvestment can affect your returns. ACAT versus liquidation. Understand the difference between an ACAT transfer and a liquidation. Fractional shares. Be aware that your new brokerage needs to support fractional shares for an ACAT transfer to be possible. Initiate from receiving brokerage. Transfers are usually initiated from the receiving brokerage. Full account transfers. Acorns generally only allows full account transfers. Therefore, while Acorns doesn't slap you with a direct transfer fee, the potential tax implications and market risks are crucial considerations. It's not about the fee itself, but the broader financial impact. Before initiating a transfer, it's essential to do your homework. Contact your new brokerage to understand the transfer process and any potential fees they might charge. Consult with a financial advisor if you're unsure about the tax implications. And carefully consider the timing of your transfer to minimize potential market impact. It's also important to consider the long term. If you are moving to a brokerage with higher fees, then the lack of a transfer fee from Acorns is a moot point, as you will be paying higher fees in the long run. Ultimately, the decision to transfer your Acorns account is a personal one. Weigh the potential benefits against the risks and costs. Consider your investment goals, your tax situation, and the features offered by your new brokerage. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.